So I picked up this 16-inch diameter frame from Walmart. I got it for $3.71. It was on sale. I think there was some damage to it. And I really like the rustic wood frame because it's going to be used to create like a little fairy forest for my cousin's 12-year-old granddaughter. Anyway, she said she liked the colors blue, green, and pink. So that's what I decided to paint it, the blue and the green. And I just painted it and let it dry overnight. The next day when it was dry, I took the frame, flipped it over, put Elmer's glue around the perimeter of the back of the frame where the backing would sit, and then I replaced the backing, and then I took Elmer's glue one more time and put it around the perimeter. And I let this dry overnight. I put something heavy on it so it would be really pushed down into place while it dried. So this serves two purposes. It helps to hold the backing in place, and it helps to prevent resin leaks when you get resin on the other side. So remember the punch bowl set that I did the spring project with in the umbrella? Well, this is the same punch bowl cups. And I nipped at the seam thinking that it would break in half, and look at that. I ended up with a perfect mushroom top. Now, I don't show this on camera, but I do end up nipping it down a little bit smaller, and I take it out to the garage and sand around the edges of it because it is a little sharp and it's jagged, uneven. So these are molded cups. They actually have a seam on them on each side. And here, I'm going to show up close. There's the seam on that side, and then over by the handle, there's another seam. And so what I did was I took my nippers and just went ahead and nipped right there. And again, you can see another perfect mushroom top. Isn't that cool? I couldn't have planned it better. And you can see it is a little uneven. You do have to nip around just to make it look better. And like I said, I did nip these down a little bit shorter after the camera went off. And you do have to nip so that they sit flat. But they honestly worked perfect. And then for the third mushroom top, I took one of the cups I had already broke and again nipped it, and crazy as it can be, another piece just about perfect came out of it. So these punch bowl cups work really well for mushroom tops. I was thinking they would be really good for jellyfish tops too. Then I took my 3 mushroom tops out to the garage, and I sprayed the 2 smaller mushroom tops with the Pearl Light Red. It's a TAMIYA spray paint, Pearl Light Red it's called. And then I sprayed the larger mushroom top with the light metallic blue. And I think they turned out real pretty. These are not translucent. I did not want them translucent. I'm going to be putting resin over them, and there is a color underneath, and I didn't want it to pick up the color underneath it. So that's why I chose to use the opaque paints. Now, if you spray these light enough, they can be translucent. So I decided I wanted some more mushrooms. This bag of mushrooms I picked up, I believe, at Hobby Lobby. And I went ahead and took a razor and I cut a whole bunch of them in half so that they would sit flat on the project. Then I took them out to the garage and I spray painted the tops of them with the same colors that I had sprayed the glass mushroom tops from the punch bowl cups. The exact same colors. Those I did 3 pink and 2 blue. Then I also picked out a bunch of small half pearls to decorate the top of the mushrooms with. And I sprayed these with the same 2 colors, the blue and the pink. And a trick, which I didn't use, and that's why the pink ones kind of flew off the paper, is to take a piece of tape upside down and stick them to the piece of tape, and then they can't go anywhere while you're spraying them. Next, I used air dry clay to form the stalk of the mushrooms, and this dries within a couple of days. And I end up making 3 stalks, but the center one, the blue one, the largest one, I end up coming back and making something else, and I'll show you in just a minute. And then the other thing I had sent away for on Amazon, or on TEMU actually, were these little ferns. And I was just kind of setting them beside them to see what I thought it would look like on the project. And then I also got these, I guess they look like vines with leaves, and I started putting those up at the very top. And once those were all situated, I started putting little white flowers on them. These flowers I had gotten on TEMU some time ago, and they're just plastic with they have a little bit of gold in them, kind of a pearly white, and a little bit of gold, and then a white pearl in the very center. I also picked up these gold leaves on TEMU. They're called Ginkgo leaves, and I'm not sure if I'm actually pronouncing it right, but the spelling is up here in the corner, and I will also put it under the description. But I thought they would look real cool and whimsical for this fairy forest. It all came as one piece, and I had to actually cut the leaves off that I wanted to place on the project. Next, I painted the mushroom stalks with the Artist Loft Iridescent Medium. It's a real shimmery white, and it did take a couple coats. And also the little mushrooms that I did, I had to do some touch-up painting, and I used the Artist Loft Iridescent Medium for the bottom of those also. And then for the tops, I put the little half pearls on that I had painted the blue and the pink. And then next I decided I wanted to make a different center stalk and make it into like a little house. So I made a little bit bigger stalk for the center mushroom and made it a little bit wider so that I could put a door in it. And then I used a pen, and I kind of made it look like a little doorway. And I took some little tiny stones that I had, and I don't remember where I got them from, and I just kind of went around the entire doorway with the stones, and I pushed them right into the clay so that they would dry there while the clay was drying. And then I did let this dry for a little bit over 24 hours. It dried, I painted the mushroom stalk again with the Artist Loft Iridescent Medium, and it did take a couple of coats, and I painted the door with some gold acrylic paint, and I thought that looked so cute. I got to say I had used a little black bead for the doorknob. So I have a bunch of little fairy pins, butterflies, and flowers that I have picked up at various places. The fairy pins I got on TEMU, they sell the exact same ones on Amazon for a little bit more money. And I also got some little flowers from Hobby Lobby. And these little fairies are actually earrings, so I have to cut the earring portion off on the back. And on the butterflies and the fairy brooches, they have pins on them, and in order for them to sit flat, I have to remove the backings. Now on these fairies, the spots that they have the pins are actually on very delicate spots. On some of those fairies, it's at the head and at the legs, and if you twist them, you will break the legs. I did break one of the heads off of the fairy. So in some instances, you're better off trying to snip it off with this tool instead of twisting it to prevent anything from breaking. And these little flowers had a little plastic thing on the back that you could pull right off of it. So now I'm ready to start the project with the resin. And the resin I'm using for this project is Let's Resin Tabletop Coating Epoxy. And I have never used this before, and I'm going to be experimenting with it on canvas. And I'm thinking that it might do the trick as far as not causing fish eyes. So I did, after I mixed it, put it in my airless light bubble removal machine, and look at how crystal clear that is. There's one little bubble at the top, but it is so crystal clear. So I start by pouring the resin over everything that I have on the project first, and I make sure that I push it up into or around all of the edges. And I know they say resin is self-leveling, but you really need to move it around and manipulate it yourself and push it up into the corners and along the edges to make sure everything is completely covered. So this resin is a very viscous resin. It is very thick, and it doesn't spread quite as easily or level out quite as easily as some of the other resins I've used. It's probably one of the thickest resins. Now, the other thing that I would suggest with this, if you're needing to mix up 8 ounces, mix up 2 4-ounce cups, because this will heat up and start to set up faster if you have it in a very deep pour. In the cup and having it set for a while, because it did sit in the bubble removing machine for over 10 minutes. So I started putting all my little mushrooms on, and I do have some fire glass. This is green fire glass that has a silver reflective quality on one side. I did pick it up on Amazon, and I have used this in the past for Christmas trees and for grass at the bottom of some of my projects. It's a beautiful green. And then I start putting all my little fairies on, and I have that one little fairy holding a vine in her hand, and I put a couple flowers on it like she's decorating. And I put some of the butterflies on, and I have the little tiny fairies that were the earrings that I put on there, and I just kind of spread everything out and around. And the very last thing I do is besides putting the flowers on, is I drizzle some resin over the glass, the fire glass at the bottom, because there's only resin underneath, and I do put quite a heavy coat of fire glass there. And then I do pour the resin. The resin is really starting to thicken up now, so now I'm starting to get a little worried, and I'm moving faster, and I start pouring the resin over the mushrooms and putting little gold balls down at the very bottom. And here I'm trying to show you how it's starting to flash cure in this cup. It's forming a clump because it's too thick. I had it up to 8 ounces. I actually ended up pouring 2 big cups because I was going to do something else, but this flash cured on me. Can you see? It's like a big chunk. It almost looks like a giant ice cube. You can actually feel the resin getting hot when it's starting to cure fast, and they call that flash curing. Flash curing is my fault because I had it too deep and left it too long in the cup. I'll talk about that more a little bit at the end of the video. Then here, I don't know if you can tell, I have some teeny tiny gold beads in a little glass container, and I sprinkled those down at the bottom where I put the larger gold beads. When I finish a project, I always come back every 15 minutes to check for glass placement. It's really important you have it on a flat level surface so that the glass does not move. If you need to reposition it, you can use a little toothpick. I recheck it for bubbles and use the torch if needed, and I also use a toothpick to get any sediment out that I might see. Here I have these little teeny tiny, it's kind of green glitter and circles that are like cutouts. They're kind of iridescent green cutouts, and I sprinkle those around on the blue background, and just adds a little something extra. Anyway, this particular resin sets best at temperatures between 75 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. All resins are different. You need to read the directions for the resin that you are using. It's in your best interest to cover it with a dust cover. Hey everyone, another project done. This is I guess the fairy forest. I think it turned out so cute, and I'm glad I changed that middle mushroom to have like a little door on it. I guess these fairy forest things are really popular. If you go on YouTube, a lot of people are like creating miniatures in their yard, and they're selling these little fairy forest miniatures at Dollar Tree and at Michael's and at Hobby Lobby. I was really surprised when I started, looking into it, and there's tons of YouTube videos on how to create your little fairy forest Not like this, but you know, on the ground or in your backyard or whatnot. So I guess the kids get into it, and I guess the adults do too. And then I saw somebody making the mushrooms, the whole mushroom, even the top of it, out of clay. That's where I got the idea to use the air dry clay for the stalks of the mushrooms, and that really worked out good. And it, I think I painted it after a day, but I did let it dry. I didn't paint the back at all, and I let it dry out for about 3 days before I attached it. So anyway, I think it turned out cute. I did, after I had glued the whole back, I forgot to put the tape on it, so I ended up putting tape on it like this, and this is the tape that I just pulled off of it, but it didn't really have any leaks, so I guess maybe I didn't. Oh, it might, you know what? I don't know if that's from the Elmer's glue or if that's from resin. It's hard to say. But anyway, I was able to do it, and I always forget, that's one thing I always forget to do, is to put the tape on the back, and inevitably I'm trying to balance it and get the tape underneath it. Anyway, all worked out okay. Anyway, I think it turned out pretty cute. All of these little fairies and butterflies, mainly I got on TEMU, and you can get them on TEMU. They have the exact same ones on Amazon. They're just a little bit more pricey, so you can get them in either of the places. I will link them below. The tiny mushrooms I got at Hobby Lobby in a good sized bag, and you can either leave them the red and pink and white, or, you know, paint them like I did. And I was shocked at how easy I got my mushroom tops out of those punch bowls. Wasn't that funny how they just broke just like that? So anyway, I thought that worked out really good. And I was thinking, you know, that would work really good for jellyfish tops too. The same, pretty much the same shape, but maybe you'd use a translucent spray paint, because, you know, the jellyfish you kind of see through. I thought that would be pretty. Anyway, all in all, I think it turned out really cute. I have no idea what you call these. I got those on TEMU also. I think I got them on TEMU or on Amazon, but I will link them under the description. Everything I use, I always link under the description. I used Let's Resin. It's I don't know if it's a new resin. It's new to me. It's a coating resin. And you know, the only coating resins that I've ever used are the art resin and the KS resin, and I've been trying to find another one that's less expensive, because, you know, that art resin is $115 for a gallon, and people always complain about it yellowing. And I know that it yellows faster than a lot of other resins just because of the experiments that I've done. So anyway, but the problem with the Let's Resin coating resin that I used in this, and I didn't realize it until after, because I was reading, you know, I was going over reading everything, and you saw how it had started to set up to flash cure. And I didn't realize, I read the instructions, but I didn't see the part where there's only a 25-minute work time with that resin. And that particular resin, with only a 25-minute work time, I put it in the bubble machine, and between that, I ran that for 10 minutes and sat in there for another few minutes, and then it was so thick, and it's only a coating resin, and if you have it really high in a cup, it will start to set, and it can flash cure. So anyway, that's what happened, but I did get enough to be able to finish the project. But the other thing, this morning I was reading, and I was trying to see on the bottle where it says no VOCs. It is not VOC free, so I will finish up the bottle. You know, I always wear a respirator whenever I use resin, whether it's VOC, and that's all I try to buy is VOC free resins, but I did not realize it. And I do wear a respirator anyway, so that's fine. But I really would prefer just to use the VOC free. And if they're VOC free, it says right on the bottom.
So the next resin I'm going to be trying to use is Naked Fusion. One of the ladies from our Facebook group, Loretta from Awesome Incidentals, is a YouTube channel she has. She uses it and she says it's really good as a coating resin. So I'm going to try that next as soon as I use this one up. But I mean, it worked good and everything. It just is not VOC free. If you're going to use it outdoors and still wear a respirator, fine. But I mean, that's my opinion. But anyway, I think it turned out cute. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps the channel. Comment. If you enjoy the channel, go ahead and subscribe. We have the Facebook page going, a wonderful group of people. They're so friendly, so helpful. Everybody will try to help you answer any of the questions you have. No question is too silly. Come join us there. And I hope you guys all have a great day. Thanks for watching.